This has got to be dope.
Well, that's another thing kids don't know. They don't have records to look at and read who played what. When's the interlude? Or I remember I used to look at my records like, who's on the drums? Who's on the bass? Who did that guitar riff, man? Who's on the guitar?
Yeah.
Because you're streaming. What do you think we're missing? Kids are missing these days from streaming to us being able to touch music. What do you think? Is there anything missing they're missing?
I don't think they're missing anything. I think it's just different.
Okay.
Right?
Right.
Like, the way that they do it is different. So, like, I grew up on hip-hop.
Right.
And so my dad said, well, wait, they're sampling these records.
Right.
And LL had sampled a Herbie Hancock record. And I was playing it for my dad. He goes, oh, that's Herbie Hancock. He goes in his little collection, he pulls it out. And he plays it. And I was like, damn, that is Herbie Hancock. Right. So then I realized there's this all this music that I like
right.
comes from here. So then I had to, but now this is where the kids have an advantage of it, right? I wasn't around when James Brown recorded those records.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So how did I get to hear them? Well, luckily my dad had some of those records, but he didn't have all of James Brown's records. Mm-hmm. So then I started this mission. Well, I like James Brown because a lot of my favorite rappers sample them.
Right.
So then I had to go and find these James Brown records, right? And so I was like, cool. And then I found myself finding all these songs, and then I'm like fascinated. Like Peter Piper, that's Bob James Mardi Gras. Have you heard the original Mardi Gras?
I have not.
That sample is just that that and the beat and program. When I hear it, I think Peter Piper. But that thing was released like in the 70s, dude. Right. Bob James did the music for, remember that show Taxi?
Yeah.
It's the same dude.
Oh my God.
And when you realize that and you hear Welcome to Mardi Gras by Bob James, you go, oh, this is just like an instrumental. Apache.
Oh, Apache. Jump on it.
That was made for, that was like on a soundtrack for a TV show in the 70s.
Was it?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Now, when you and I had to go find these records, which is not easy because they don't sell Apache around here.
Not right here.
So I had to go and find these records and then buy them if I wanted to play the originals, right? Kids nowadays could you type it in your phone, Apache.
Oh, most definitely. I do that now. It's like.
Yeah. So it's just different. I'm not mad at the kids but I appreciate when I'm trying to think of some songs, and now also the genres are kind of the Principal O'Reilly, Mr. Henderson.
Right.
Do you know Mr. Henderson?
I think I've met him once or twice.
Yeah. He'll come up to me and he'll say, I don't know who sings it, but you gotta play that Tennessee Whiskey song. That's just straight up country.
Straight up country.
And those of you that don't know, Mr. Henderson is about a 6 foot tall African American dude. He's the principal there. He doesn't look like he listens to country.
No.
But he'll come up to me. He's like, "You gotta play that for me. You gotta play that for me."
Right.
I'm like, "All right, bet." And I play it, and it's funny, and I feel that's kind of cool. And and then the what's that, Party in the USA?
Miley Cyrus.
Yeah, I didn't realize that Old Town Road was a rapper. Lil Nas X.
Lil Nas X, right.
And at the time, I was at Ben Harbor High School, and the kids were just singing it. They're like, "Take me down to the old time," and I'm just like listening to them singing. I was like, "What?" And I thought they were. I was like, I said, "Why are you guys singing that?" They're like, "You don't know about that song?" And I was like, "No, I don't. What are you talking about?" Like at first, you know how kids are up on music quick,
right? Yeah, because everybody's on SoundCloud now.
Yeah, so I was like, "I've never heard that song." They're like, "Oh, and they told me it's Lil Nas X."
Right.
And I was like, "What?" And I pulled it up, and I think it was on SoundCloud, or I pulled it up on something.
Yeah.
I was like, what is
That'd been
going on?
SoundCloud because he paid, I think, $3 or $4, maybe $10 for the beat, and he made it, put it on SoundCloud, and it just took off.
So they have exposure to all different kinds of music, and they can listen to what they want, what they're feeling at that time.
Yeah.
You know,
it's more accessible to kids.
It's more accessible. Now,
Streaming.
I do remember several times with my own children,
right,
pulling out a record. Oh, I'll tell you, this is a funny story. A DJ,
right,
only used controllers, right? Or actually use vinyl, but only use like a DVS system, right? So I put a YouTube video out, right? And I'm running doubles. I think it was It's Time, right? That's my favorite thing to do. I've been doing that since the 80s, right? So when you hit the cues, you can, so for DJs that don't know, a cue point is where you can mark a certain part of a song.
Right.
And so it'll have a button like this. You hit the button, it goes right to that part of the song. But back in the day when it was on vinyl, you had to have a way to cue it. So Grandmaster Flash invented this thing where he would write with a crayon. He'd draw an arrow that pointed to where the groove was on the record.
Right.
Right? That evolved in the days of DJ battles and DMC. We would take stickers.
Right.
And the stickers, you would angle the sticker in a way so it would force the needle into the groove. You'd ruin the record.
Yeah, you destroy the record.
You'd destroy the record, but it would start right at that point. So that's how you had a cue point. So if you remember back in the day, DJs always had these little stickers and dot stickers on all their records. Stickers. Yeah. And so I had them too. And so when I was in a DJ battle, I'd put that needle right next to that sticker, and it's right there. That's the cue point. Right. So when you want to run doubles, you got to figure out where to stop the record at. It's a visual cue. That's why it's called a cue point.
Right. Wow.
Only thing I got to do is get that sticker right back to where that thing is. Now, Flash was a little more technical. Grandmaster Flash was technical. He would count and say, well, I got to spin it back 3 times or 6 times, depending on how many you let it go. Well, when you do it really fast, it doesn't go that far.
Right.
So if you go, it's time, it's time, it's time, that circle will get like here, and then you just bring it back.
Right.
Where do you bring it back? To where the sticker is. Well, there's a whole generation of DJs that just hit that button. They go, it's time. So they're limited in the sense that when they go, it's time, they have to hit it's time, and they can hit it right when they do it. So it'll go, it's time, it's time, it's time, it's time. But they, it's hard to scratch because you got to have one hand free to hit the cue button, right? So I still do the same thing, but then at some point I go back to the record thing, right?
Right.
Well, if you look on my videos, I have big, thick tape, a strip of tape that goes on my controller.
Right.
I don't need that tape on that controller. I need a visual cue.
Visual cue.
Right? So I was just messing around one day and I was like, it's time. I wanted to see, because I got this brand new Ring Performer. I want to see if I could do that like I do on the turntables. I'm better at it on the turntables. So I hit the cue, it's time. But as I'm doing it, I'm keeping track of where those tape markings are. Okay. And then I try it. I go, it's time, and I know exactly where those are. So then now I can go really fast. It's. And then you let go of the fader, and you just go, it's. I'm just looking at the stickers.
Right.
And a really nice, really good DJ, he's a phenomenal turntablist. He goes, I noticed that you don't even look at the cues. And he was talking about the buttons. He goes, how do you do that so fast? How do you know where to stop it?
I have a visual cue.
And then I said, I have a visual cue. And we got into a conversation about that. And I didn't explain it. Well, maybe he'll watch this later and he'll figure out what I did. But I said, no, I use visual cues instead of the cue pads. And he was like, okay, cool. We need to hang out sometime, But I think that's the thing, like for DJs, what they're missing. You can look up some of the credits, but now you could also Google stuff too. You can go on Wikipedia; they'll tell you who produced what and all that. But it's different.
people they won't go past that. It's like the nostalgic is totally different. But I tell my daughter, she's looking at stuff. But someone asked me a long time ago, the classics of today, will they still be played classics years later when your kids are grown? And my answer to him, only if you play the classics for your kids.
Yeah, maybe. But there are still people that listen to the Beatles.
Oh, hell yeah.
Why? Well, sure, they hear it from their parents.
Right.
I can play 911's a Joke from Flavor Flav to my kids right now. It probably won't make their playlist.
Get up, get down. 911 is a joke in your
You know what I'm saying? Hit me. You know what I mean?
Why do we love that song?
It's Flav. It's Flavor Flav.
Why did we love it?
I was shocked when I heard that record. I was like, man, he can actually rap a little bit.
Right. You know?
But he's not. It's not NWA.
No,
it's not. So over time, it's not even Chuck D.
It's quirky.
It's a record.
Flavor Flav.
It's Flav, and we love Flav. But 50 years from now, right. I suspect they'll still be playing certain songs. I think NWA will still be as popular.
Most definitely.
Right? Rakim has really only dropped a couple albums.
Dude, that dude has dropped only a couple albums, but he's still relevant in the rap industry.
Well, there's only one Rakim.
Right.
Look at LL. Have you heard the new single with LL and Eminem?
Yeah. I'm like, wow, how did these two get together?
So many people, and I believe this too, I think Eminem is one of the best rappers of all time, right?
I think he is too.
Who was my favorite best rapper of all time? LL.
LL Cool J. The GOAT.
So when I hear that song, I'm like, I'm more excited to hear out. Nothing against Eminem. I don't want him dissing me.
Right.
But when I heard it, LL, and he's just hanging in there.
Oh, yeah.
He's not hanging on for his life. He's just
speed rap.
But that's him.
Right.
He's always been that way.
Right.
We just haven't heard it in a while.
We can't forget about Busta Rhymes. First time we heard him speed rap.
Yeah.
You know, I never knew he knew how to speed rap until I was like, whoa, where'd this come from?
But it isn't even the speed. It's just the delivery.
The delivery, yeah.
Because when I heard that record, I was like, oh, he's going back. Like, this is like Bigger and Deffer date. Like, you know, this is LL.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, this is good.
He's starting to curse, too.
Yeah. He was on an interview.
Did he just curse?
Yeah, I watched last night. Like, I'm so excited that he dropped this album and stuff, but it was like he did an interview on like the Breakfast Club or something, and he said a couple cuss words, and I was like, it took me back a little bit.
Yeah,
like, what?
Well, I guess he's to me, he sees that there's more grit DJs out there, and he's got to let them know that just because I don't curse, don't mean I won't get with you.
Nah, I think people curse, but like we grew up radio, you can't do that.
Right. Exactly.
So well, how did we hear LL? I mean, I didn't hang out with LL.
Right.
You know, so I don't know how he talks when he's alone.
Right.
Or when he's with his friends. But what do I know him from? The radio, TV. He doesn't use that language in those situations. So, but it's fine. And I mean, he did okay for himself.
I kind of like it when he does. I said, he's getting edgy. I was like, I kind of like it. I said, what?
Well, in one of those interviews, they said, somebody broke into his house and they beat the dude. Yeah.
Breaking the old house. You deserve to get beat.
Mama said, knock you out.
Don't call it. Oh, man. Dude, we could talk hours for that.
Could you imagine like breaking, like you're climbing in the window and you hear, oh.
What's that?
You're like, is that LL? Uncle L?
Get punched. LL Cool J.
But I think LL will always be LL. Rakim will always be Rakim. I think Eminem will fall in that category somewhere too. I think that when it comes to producers, there's always going to be Dr. Dre, Timberland. My daughter, she played a list of songs. She teaches dance.
Okay.
And she's like, these are some songs I'm thinking about playing with the kids. I got to, she wants me to help her make sure that, she wants to make sure they're clean enough for the kids.
Right.
She must have played about 9 or 10 Timberland tracks. She goes, I love this song. She doesn't know that Timberland produced them.
No.
And these songs were made way before she was born.
Hmm.
And she's like, what do you think of this one? Because she loves Missy Elliott. She loves, what was the other one? There was a lot of Missy Elliott songs. He did some stuff with Justin Timberlake. There was another cut too, and I was like, that's Timberland. That's Timberland. That's Timberland. That's Timberland. And she had no clue. But she liked
remix that he did with Magoo, Master P. I think it was Shanta. How did it go? Oh, was it Love to Love You?
Yeah, I played that sometimes.
Love to Love Ya.
I played that not that long ago, actually.
Ooh. Oh man, I love that song. I'll find myself in the car playing that sometimes, and I'll be like streaming. I play Love to Love You, Magoo. And then shout out to Magoo, who passed away. Was it last year or earlier this year?
I don't remember.
I think it was last year he passed away. And that was I don't want to say the first album I heard him on, but he had a rapping style that was different than I heard when I heard it through Timberland. When he produced that album. But
yeah. But Dr. Dre will always. Yeah, they'll be paying, our great grandkids will probably listen to that. Sure. He'll be like the Beatles.
Yeah, I think so, because that Chronic album, it'll always be, as soon as you hear that, oh, Dr. Dre, and it's like, it's just a classic. And the other classes you have, I have many classics. I'm telling you, it's.
Do you know what I have?
What?
When they release the Chronic 2001, you know how you used to get promos for the radio station?
Yeah.
Well, I got special promos. I got the albums, but it's just the instrumentals. Yeah. When they Aftermath, when they released that album, they sent me promo copies of the album. I got 3 different versions. Right. I got the version that you could buy, profanity and everything.
Right.
I got an entire version of the album, radio edits.
Right.
And then I got instrumentals. Or maybe I didn't get an album of the radio. I got to remember.
I don't do that no more, do they?
Yeah. Maybe I do remember that I have the instrumentals.
Right.
I might have to go.
You can maybe go look back at my stuff, because I know for sure I have the Black Album from Def Jam. I got that. Mm-hmm. I got promos too, but I have to go look, man, because I got some gems.
I used to sell my promos if I didn't use them, and now I kind of regret that one time.
Not me. I was a hoarder.
We had there was a guy in Grand Rapids. He was funny. He would get so many promos, and he said, "Yeah, I just take them to Detroit. There was a record store on 8 Mile, and if you took your promos to him, they give you $1."
Just $1.
Yeah.
They're like, "Thank you, $1." He doesn't know what he's just giving me. The Holy Grail.
Yeah. But I at some point, because the records take over your life.
They do.
When you get the promos.
They do.
Yeah. But I don't know if the kids, I hate to compare how we had it. I very happy, content with how I had things and how I experienced music.
Right.
I do notice the differences. My kids were at home and I kept skipping. I had an album. I don't remember what it was. And I'd skip to the next song. And it was usually what happens. My son will say, you heard of this rapper? My son, Ben, he likes stuff that sounds old school, but he likes the new rappers that do it. So he'll say stuff he'll say I remember he was into Vic Mensa and Vince Staples and those guys, and he was like, "Dude, this is where it's at, Dad. I'm telling you.
Dad, you gotta listen to this.
I'm telling you." And then my son, Eric, he does the same thing. He'll be like, "Dad, this," he'll play me a song, and when I hear the song,
right,
I go, "Oh, it reminds me of another song," right? So I'll be like, "Oh, if you like that song,
yeah, Because you can't turn it off.
Yeah, and I can't remember which son. It's like, dude, who are all these rappers? Why are they talking about this guy named Rakim?
Your son said that?
Yeah, one of my sons said that. Why are these?
Come here.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we had an educational session that.
Oh
day.
yeah, let me
yeah, but we were in the living room, and when he said it, I was like, I was like, I don't know how to. I said, let me hold on a second, and I played "I Ain't No Joke."
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
I ain't no joke.
And then my melody, and I'm playing all these songs, but think of the videos for some of these songs.
Right, most definitely. Kango hats, sweatsuits,
yeah,
big chains.
My one son makes fun of me because like I'll listen to the old school stuff, and he'll walk by me, he'll go, "I went on to the store and bought myself a hat."
You're like, oh.
I took myself down to the store and bought myself a hat. And I was like, well, I was like, maybe in the beginning.
Right.
Yeah. But he thinks it's funny. And then whatever he'll say to, because the younger people always want to compare and think that what they're doing is better.
Oh, no.
I had to say, like,
they're just rinsing and repeating.
Yeah. Well, but I think we do that too, like, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Like hip hop. It's so funny. Like, those first breakbeat records were all kinds of records, right?
Exactly.
So, and it's funny, the younger people, like, I share my mixes on some Facebook groups, and there's one aside in New York that's really funny, but the old heads and the young kids, they get into arguments all the time.
Arguments online.
Yeah.
The beefing line with the...
Somebody said, some younger guy said he heard Heavy D, and he said, we never played Heavy D in the hood.
What? We did.
And I was like, yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
But in his mind, because Heavy D had some music, because he did that New Jack thing really well, because why? Yeah. Teddy Riley produced a lot of his stuff.
Yeah.
And he was associated with Uptown Records.
Mm-hmm.
And so he may not have sounded like other New York rappers, but he wasn't necessarily from New York, but not like New York City.
Right.
He was from Mount Vernon.
Money earning Mount Vernon.
And but it was funny to me because then they just in the comments, these old heads were like, "Are you get off this page? Like, I'm about to report you." You don't know
what you're talking about, young man.
Yeah. Just relax, just calm down.
Yeah.
So it's just funny how they like do that stuff, and then there was something else. Some rapper released a song and they didn't like it. They didn't think the song was right.
Right.
And they were talking about you would never hear. They were talking about it sounded too. It didn't sound urban enough.
Mm-hmm.
And they said you would never hear Jay-Z on a track like that. They're trying to relate it to us old heads.
Jay-Z's lucky he even he stayed the mile because when some of you guys who's real old Jay-Z listeners, remember when he first started, the buzz that I follow, he almost lost it until he started doing duets. Mariah Carey, Alicia Keys. I used to play a lot of Jay-Z on 99.1, and I would get called, "Why you playing Jay-Z? Ain't nobody trying to hit no New York rappers." Listen, you guys got to pay attention. New York, that's the mecca of hip-hop. You guys got to understand, that's where breakdancing started. Graffiti, hip-hop, turntablism, a lot of the rappers. Yeah. Melly Mel, Grandmaster Flash, the first song that I ever heard was, oh my God, help me. Don't push me.
The message.
The message, right. And so for me, I got on the New York tip because that's what blew my mind as a kid. I had never heard urban music until I was probably about in my teens.
Yeah.
I was a WRX guy, Rock 107. Never heard any urban. Couldn't get WBMX because when I got older, you got to be in the right area with that antenna.
Yeah.
To bring it in through Chicago.
You got to run a wire from your antenna to your bunk bed or something.
Yeah, you got to put that extra aluminum foil your mama had on them antennas. You're like, where's the aluminum foil at? We don't know.
Yeah.
They get WDMX, your Doug Banks and Company, you know, stuff like that, you know? So it's, I don't know, man. It's like you said, it is a different era with streaming now. I find myself streaming just to stay educated, you know? And I don't know about you. Do you stream a lot, or you just go back to your records?
What do you mean?
Like if there's something you want to hear, instead of just going down the basement and you're on the road, hey, I want to hear this. Stream. So like, I have
listen to in my car.
Yeah. So like what I have in my car.
I have a turntable in my car.
I know you don't. Come on.
Yeah. I play.
Why does it keep skipping? Well, it's hard because of the bumps. You know.
I'll tell you what's better.
What?
So when you DJ in a large venue, those old turntables get feedback. It has a rumble sound.
Right.
Right. Because the needles are really like little teeny tiny microphones. So if you're at a large nightclub with a lot of subwoofers, or if you DJ a concert, those turntables, if you turn the volume up, you know how if you have a microphone, you hold it to the speaker, you get a high-pitched sound? With turntables, you'll get a low rumble, it'll go, and it literally shakes everything. So if you DJ a concert like at arena, they have like big thick things of rubber that you set the turntables on. That's why Technique turntables have those big thick rubber bottoms.
Bottoms of the foots?
Yeah. Yeah, they're trying to eliminate that rumble. And then sometimes what they'll do is the monitors up there, there's hardly any bass. It's all mid-range and stuff because you're trying to keep that turntable. Okay. You don't have that problem nowadays. If you use a phase or if you use a DVS like Serato, you can still use the turntables, but there's no feedback. Because you're not actually processing audio through the speakers from the needles. You're just getting that signal that goes to the computer.
That signal that goes.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I got Serato, I was trying to get that. How do you match it up? You're looking at the little the diagram on the screen. They're supposed to be identical with the scratch box, the Serato box. Remember that? Yeah. When I first had that, you know, and then they went on to putting them on controllers, so I got rid of that thing. But you know, I wish I had kept this.
Well, I think I don't remember which company was associated with it. Final Scratch was the first DVS. And I don't know if that became Tractor or if that became Serato. But they were the first ones to have the box.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Icon had that first.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I remember because there was a time where they had these Denons. The Denon, this was every DJ in Grand Rapids had a Denon dual deck CD player, and you put the CDs in.
Yeah.
And you could just mix, and it had a pitch control. I
remember those.
No, I didn't buy it.
Station had one of those.
Yeah. I didn't buy it, but my friend, I think Jason had a Newmark one. That was okay, and then I don't remember how I ended up with it, or I used it, or maybe I bought it.
I forgot all about it. You made me remember that. I remember that. Yeah, the Denon. Yeah,
everybody had those, and they were like giving me a hard time because I'm lugging these crates of records, and they're like, "Why do you do that?" I was like, "Well, you can't scratch on those." And then I said, "If there ever is a time where you could scratch with CDs," and then Pioneer came out with that first CDJ.
Yeah.
And I was
with the little knobs.
Yeah. And I was working at Guitar Center in Grand Rapids at the time.
Really?
When that came out, I remember taking it out of the box and hooking it up. And I put a CD in, and I was like, game changer. I'm going to kill this. You don't understand. There were so many times I was like, I'm going to kill this.
I'm going to kill the game.
I was, yeah.